Before this Ashes had started, Stuart Broad said that this English side is the strongest English side to tour Australia in the last 12 years. And this Australian side is probably one of the weakest. Now, the irony is that despite having an 11-day gap between the end of first test match and the start of the second test match, their captain decides that they want to skip the 2-day practice match, which was supposed to happen on pink ball, by the way. And they did this despite knowing that Mitchell Starc with a pink ball does the same thing to opponents that Virat Kohli with a bat does to Pakistan. And you can all see the results on how the English batsmen batted in the second test match, except for Joe Root. And also note that Joe Root played an innings which was way more traditional and classical, the way English batsmen used to play from the time of Andrew Strauss, Alistair Cook. And that is the team that came to Australia in 2011-12 and won the Ashes, and they defeated India also in India. Isn't this convincing enough proof that they really need to revisit their batting style? I mean, since the last 4 years, that man, Joe Root alone, has scored more than 20 centuries in multiple countries, whereas some of their most promising ultra-aggressive batsmen like Jamie Smith and Brooke are just crumbling on slightly tricky pitches. People like Harry Brooke, Ollie Pope, Crawley, all of them from the beginning of the innings are just swiping at balls which are like a mile outside off stump because of Bazball, of course. And all of them crumble into pieces. And the same Stuart Broad, who said this is the strongest English side to tour, yesterday in the commentary box, if you would have heard, he said that this is an unacceptable way of batting for someone who is as talented as Harry Brooke and many other batsmen. People are just gifting their wickets despite knowing how much Starc is swinging. And also keep in mind that this pitch is actually way better to bat compared to what the first test had. That pitch in the first test match had pace, bounce, seam movement, and like everything. This pitch, on the other hand, was so straightforward to bat that other than Starc, nobody even looked like they are going to take too many wickets. And the same thing is happening in the second innings when Australia are batting. They are not looking in any kind of trouble except for those first 3-4 overs from Archer. And even someone like Travis freaking Head, who scored a century in 70 balls in the first test match, he's also started his innings today cautiously. He scored only 3 runs in 20 balls, waiting for that swing to stop, and then he scored 30 runs in the next 13 balls. Even Manus Labuschagne is smashing everyone today. That's how good this pitch is to bat. My point was, this is the first time in decades of international cricket where a team is not exactly playing that well, and yet their captain and their management is still defending their attitude of how they should play. And then when Stokes says that you should not call their team arrogant, you can call them bad, but not arrogant. I mean, where does this English team intend to go from here? They are losing games after games in multiple countries except their own country. And oh, by the way, in their own country also they lost to against a very weak, inexperienced Indian side. That was an Indian side that didn't have Rohit, Kohli, Pujara, Ashwin, Rahane, and still we managed to draw that series. There was a very good tweet that I had read which says that the only reason India-England series was tight is because both teams were equally average. Maybe it's time that someone has a talk with Mr. Ben Stokes and McCullum.